Mainly, he says, a listener should listen to this text by avoiding 3 faults. Say there is a vessel and we want to pour something very nutritious, something very delicious and precious into it. So he says the first thing is, if the vessel is kept upside down, then no matter what you do, you know, however you pour the content, it will not enter the vessel at all. Forget about the vessel keeping that content. It will, you know, just be lost. Similarly, when we listen to Dharma, and we do so just as a duty, you know, and just there is no real responsibility. You don't really listen to it. You listen to it just by and by while you're working, while you're doing something else, and you're not really listening. So that is like a vessel which is upside down. When you don't really listen, of course, then nothing is really registered in your mind. Yes. And it doesn't matter who is speaking, what is being spoken. It all goes to waste. So that is the first fault. So for that, we have to be aware, we have to be present. Second fault, he says, is that now the vessel is kept properly, but the vessel is damaged. There is a hole somewhere. So you're pouring this wonderful sort of ambrosia-like content, but it is pouring out. It is pouring out, and nothing is really kept. This fault will happen to us many, many times. We have to be very careful that while it's not, especially the Westerners, and I realize it's not that they're not listening. We are listening. We are, you know, we are there. We are just looking and hearing. It's just that it is not after the teaching is done. You know, as soon as you leave the temple, half of the content or more than half of the content is gone. You have some sort of vague idea that how it should be. And then after day, 2 day, 3 day, I doubt if we even read our notes, because many people write a lot of notes, but I doubt if they even read it or how many times. Then after a month or 2, it's really gone. Of course, what you like from the 1 hour of teaching, you like few lines, few important minutes, and that's all you remember. But most of those are lost, which is such a lost, actually. It's such a sad thing. So, yila chepa means to remember what you have heard, so that you can contemplate on it. If you don't even remember, how are you going to contemplate? And meditation is just so far away. So first we have to remember what we hear. We listen, then we remember what we heard. How we do that? Now we have to do homework. You guys asked me for homework. This is the main homework, that you read again and again. This text, the root you read again and again, and the commentaries you read again and again. While you're reading it, don't read it like a book now. This mistake will happen to us a lot because of our habit of reading books, novels and storybooks, without really registering, contemplating. You just read it. That won't really sink into our head. Not only that, it will remain a very intellectual thing. So when I first went to Shedar to study in the monastery, this is what one of my teachers said, and I really appreciate that. He was one of my first class teachers. So he said, don't just run, don't just keep reading, he said. You read one sentence, just read it once, read that sentence again one more time, this time sure that you understood all the words, and then to really remember the meaning or the content of that sentence in your head. Now now you are making sure that you do not forget it. You are a vessel you're making sure there are no holes or all the holes are blocked. This is important. The third one is, okay, the vessel is kept properly. There are no holes, but there is a lot of dirt inside. And not only dirt, there are a lot of poisonous dirt inside. There are a lot of poison inside. Then this wonderful elixir or ambrosia-like thing, however it will be contaminated by poison. And rather than benefiting us, it will harm us. As the masters like to say, Dharma, when not practiced as Dharma, will be yet another cause of rebirth in lower realm. And that is true. We listen to Dharma not because of this idea that we need it. And I don't know what is up with some of us. Just because we had this text once, we feel like, I studied it, I don't need to study it. That's just amazingly arrogant. Tulku Rinpoche, he we all know, right? The author of Words of My Perfect Teacher. He have heard this text 100 times. 100 times he have heard this text. He have went to many teachers and he have received it 100 times. Register that here, 100 times. That's what we need. So much so that your mind and the meaning, the words of this text become so together all the time, inseparable. One of my teachers, he said he received this text at least 40 or 46 times. Anyway, so poisonous vessel, thinking that I already know this. Then, or else, of course, if you have arrogance to your fellow learners, like, oh yeah, these guys are just, I am the real deal. Or having very worldly ambition when Dharma is used as a, that is so that you can be a better, I don't know, maybe you have a job. So you study these texts to be better at your job. Maybe your job is to, I don't know, to calm people, to talk to people. That already the vessel is with soil. while listening, when you cannot be patient, maybe it is taking too long, maybe it is the teacher is not getting to the point, or maybe you are not understanding, or maybe it is too boring, whatever the reason. So when our mind is contaminated by afflictions, then the vessel is contaminated. So then the Dharma remains no longer a Dharma, but something else. It then becomes very, very materialistic, like a hunter hunting, very materialistic. So then, to avoid that, a listener, how we should be is that we should be completely honest. Looking into our mind, we know, yes, I need this. This is what I need. And first thing is to be unbiased. To have an open mind. Second is then to have real passion or interest in it. Like, this is what I need. I really want this. For the sake of beings, if I really am going to do something for the longevity of Dharma, this is what I need. And then we also need to be a little bit intelligent. In the Shedras, usually before starting teaching, we make supplications. We recite Prajnaparamita Hridaya Sutra, and then we recite prayers to Manjushri. I don't know if you can or not, but it would be really nice if you could recite supplications to Shantideva, the author of this text.